queue. It's 6 o'clock Friday. First date, sweaty palms, feeling kind of nervous. All I see in the rearview mirror's my lip twitching tonight. George Strait song, turn up and down. Sounds so perfect with your baby blue eyes. Got a flask full of JD hidden underneath the seat. Let's pull out a blanket, let's go lay down by the creek so I can get lost in the twinkle of your lovey, lovey, lovey-dovey eyes. It's a nice cool night, way out here with you. Walking with the fireflies, girl, I can't undo. Me falling in love with everything you do. Let's try slowing it down and make it last all night through. George Strait song, turn up and down. Lovey, lovey, lovey-dovey eyes. Lovey-dovey eyes, lovey-dovey.
Hello, everyone. This is Animation Club School. Please get comfortable, cozy, and of course, open your mind because we are about to start our Critical Role short film showcase and talking about the making of. So be open to many new insights. My name is Kata. I'm, of course, your usual, but very charismatic, loyal, valiant, exuberantly beautiful, and yet most of all, innately humble host. Today, we will be meeting with our 2D traditional short film creation course crew, full of amazing artists that created our Critical Role tribute to Mighty Main. And of course, one of our amazing mentors is also joining us today. A teacher for the 2D traditional animation courses is Edward Kurchevsky, a 2D animator and director on projects such as Primal, Scavenger's Reign, Tales of Elethrion, Flea, and many more. And with all of them, we will discuss and share some insights about the creation process for the short film, their experiences joining a full-fledged animation pipeline, including all of the brainstorms, redraws, deadlines, and of course, plenty of valuable insights. We will get acquainted with our team first, so please, chat, give them a round of applause. Let me introduce our amazing crew one by one, that we will get to know a lot more very soon. So let's start with our first, person on the crew, our producer and director, Aylat Kaderjanova. Round of applause. Next goes Maria Panchenka, layout and visual development artist, and of course in the VizDev team. Then we have Anna Yefremova, color script and background lead, also of course a part of visual development. Diana Ivanova, 2D animator, clean and color artist. Then we have Konstantin Sukhov, 2D FX artist, and of course last but in absolutely no sense of the word least, Mila Zolotaryova, our compositing artist. Please give every of them a round of applause. I see some people are doing it right now, so thank you very much. And also, before we jump in, of course, our school not only shares these bits of knowledge on YouTube for you to watch, but you can also be an active participant, both, in the courses, but also in the practices we offer for everyone who is willing to learn. For example, you can join us on Loop De Loop, which is basically a YouTube series focused on creating beginner-friendly exercises for you to start any day. And also you can join us on Discord, so you can share your art and be able to practice in figure drawing and of course, film studies, which we do every week, also hosted by your one and only. And of course, you can join us in the classic 2D animation courses or jump right into our upcoming short film creation course. Right now, we are in the full swing of the production to the film dedicated to Deltarune. And of course, you can be in the team that will get to work on a tribute to our next project dedicated to the amazing Hollow Knight. So if you've been on the fence, this is your best chance to join. Of course, I advise you to not wait till the last minute because the next group is going to start very soon. Spots are obviously very limited, so I would love to see all of you there. Before we end all of our intros and I give, all of the, what do you call it, disclaimers, I have to give a couple of rules on how to use the chat box on the right, since the chat have been already using it quite well. You can not only encourage us and compliment us on the amazing work the crew did today, but you can also ask us questions. They have to be, though, respectful about the given topic. School and animation are obviously included. And they have to have the word question in all caps so I can catch it and read it out loud. Mostly it's going to be a favor to you and to me as well because I have so much stuff running. My brain barely manages to compute everything as it is. So you'll be doing me a big favor. And I think overall, that's it. We are ready to roll and we're ready to actually start talking about the most interesting part of the stream, the short film itself. First, I wanted to congratulate everyone who worked on the team. I know it's a small sliver of it from all of the amazing artists who worked there, but they are presenting their teams today. So I am giving my personal round of applause to everyone. It has been a huge effort and it's absolutely breathtaking. So to share this feeling of awe and wonder with me, I would love us all, including you, chat, to watch the 99 short right now, and then we'll come back and start talking about the whole process of creating it. So, Vitali, if you could put the short reel.
The adventure begins. They were always beside you, your nerdy best friends, and the DM to guide you. And they rise from the flames for the battles ahead. Villains beware, cause you're about to be dead. They got magic and flair, they got Fauci's and cunning. They don't see over there, there's a monster incoming. Inspiration is waiting, rise up, don't think twice. Put your fate in your hands, take a chance, roll the dice. Can you answer the call? Digging deep in your soul as the legend unfolds. Now it's your turn to roll.
Amazing. As I said, absolutely breathtaking, absolutely awe-inspiring. And I know that Edward wants to add a couple of words before we start discussing the making of. The microphone is yours.
Yes, hello everyone. Basically about the course, about short film creation course. This course was created, inspired by my education experience in Gobelin, l'École de l'image. It's basically in this Parisian school, we often gathered in the teams and created a short film for the Annecy festival or a fixed assignment. It was also like team teamwork, and yeah, obviously graduation project. And in the school, we decided to also create this is like a kind of platform where people from different departments and different yeah, animators can gather and create a group around some project and kind of gather the efforts and make this project better in every sense. So basically, short film Critical Role was not our first project in short film creation course. It was we was doing it for already like 5 years, but thanks to these beautiful talents that you see today, and not only we have a lot of people in the team, we achieved such a great result. So I just want to give a word to Arlat, who will explain how we started and managed all the process.
Thank you, Edward.
Exactly.
It's my honor. Honestly, the process itself in starting this project was quite chaotic as well. From gathering the team, gathering the people, just pumped on enthusiasm as much as you are, because honestly, most of my classmates were not even familiar what Mighty Nine even is, but I just knew we had to do it. So it started out from the animatic. We gathered with our team like a month prior before the course actually started, and just started discussing, because Critical Role and the Mighty Nine campaign itself is so vast and it's so large. Like it will take you a month, just like 31 or 32 days just to watch an entire campaign. So we're like, how do we capture the essence of this massive universe with those beautiful characters in a one single short film? So we had to decide, either we do like a trailer based on the characters and their backstory, maybe like we do maybe like a fragment, like a certain fragment from the story, like straight up like linear storytelling instead of like the action trailer. But eventually, after like an intense month discussion, a lot of our teammates have joined like a lot more earlier, before we actually had our first lessons to present the storyboard ideas and stuff. So we just decided to settle on the most straightforward and like I guess more clear to the general viewer as well, because everybody loves pirates, everybody loves fantasy, and everybody loves sexy elves
Obviously.
and good jacked half orcs, because I do. So obviously we had to go with the High Seas arc, Adventure on the High Seas. So if you know Mighty Nine and you know Critical Role, they have a bunch of like short summaries for their arcs. And the arc with Ford's backstory, basically one of the main characters, like the green guy, his arc is basically called Adventure on the High Seas. And when we saw it, we're like, we have to take it. This is so great. We have the opportunity to do some original character casting, and we obviously have to include all the cast. And there was like just so many memorable moments. So yeah, and I just jumped in straight into the storyboard, and after that inspiration was caught, I was unstoppable. So basically, I went to the drawing board, and yeah, I would like to share you guys the first storyboard that I actually brought to my team. And we just went with it. Like most of it just kept pretty much the same to the original version that you just saw, but you see, basically. Yeah.
Perfect. Putting it on right now. Hopefully my computer's not going to break and we'll get to watch it right now together. I won't be able to see the chat, but hopefully someone will yell over and say that something's not working or the sound isn't there. So let's watch it together.
The sound is
It's fine.
Not working?
The adventure begins. They were always beside you, your nerdy best friends. friends, and the DM to guide you, and they rise from the flames for the battles ahead. Villains beware, 'cause you're about to be dead. They got magic and flair, they got falchions and cunning. They don't see over there, there's a monster incoming. Inspiration is waiting, rise up, don't think twice. Put your fate in your hands, take a chance, roll the dice. Can you answer the call, digging deep in your soul? As the legend unfolds, now it's your turn to roll.
Yeah.
I don't have any, like, absolutely freaking amazing.
Yeah, I want to comment this. In our educational kind of system, we used to gather with the whole team and present several animatics. For example, in our team of like Matt and I, it was like three, I guess, animatics presented. I mean, people inside the group divided by smaller groups, and they basically created like different versions of that. But we decided that animatics or animatic of Alat was the strongest one, and we basically kept it as it is. So yeah.
Did you manage to settle on like a specific, because I see there's not too much changes compared with the final version, except for some angles and camera work. Were there any specific shots that you really loved but you had to cut during the kind of development and settling?
Honestly, yes, there is. When I do my storyboards and animatics, I just sit down in front of the drawing board and just draw a bunch of frames. And I'm a visual artist. Like, I can see a picture in my head. Yes, I'm that lucky. Anyways, I can see a picture in my head, and every single time when I think about, oh, this is like a visual reference from a movie I really like, how can I incorporate it into a storyboard, and how can I use this cool, like maybe a director jump cut or something like this, and like maybe a cool moment. I think about a moment in the story, and I think, what is the best way that this can work inside it? And I just like draw a bunch of pictures. Sometimes it's linear, sometimes it's less linear, and I just put it like a puzzle together. Like I just have like a giant canvas with all of these little board pictures. But this works for an action trailer. Obviously, since it was an action trailer, it allows that kind of approach. If I were to like work on something more linear, I would obviously think, oh, foreground, middle ground, whatever. This is how it was for this animatic. There was a bunch of scrapped scenes that actually were not included. But if we were to go into details, we're gonna be here for a while, so
That's true.
But just to say that animatic of Alat was so impressive. So after that, we decided and also because of her work as a director on that project, we decided to get her into our administration board, and now she is our the permanent director on the project right now.
yeah, if you want to see more cooler storyboards, I don't know, you can join our projects. Like we're working on Deltarune right now. We also did an I also did an animatic for that as well. So if you're curious, I think we just did like our pitch presentation. There is probably an animatic out there you can see on our pages.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean,
And
there's
we're waiting
yeah.
for everyone is waiting for Hollow Knight, and it's gonna be very epic and animation heavy. So if you will be interested in that,
Exactly.
join.
And let me segue in and say that you can get 10% off the first month of your studies, including the short film development process. So you'll get to work on a cool project, and you'll also be able to snatch a little discount. I just had to. It was just so perfect to slide it in. Sorry. Okay. And let's then talk. We're gonna go around the
Let's move on to the
chronological pipeline.
Yeah,
Maybe we'll jump a little bit forth on
Maybe
that, but
one last thing I want
yeah.
to add. Basically, when our animatic was created, several weeks after that, when we started to develop every shot, we precise ending of the cinematic, because you probably saw that ending was a little bit different with the animation like fight with Hydra. When it was kind of settled, we had a contact with William. Don't remember his name. It's like CEO of Critical Role. So we basically contacted them just to show what we're cooking, and probably like ask some if they can support or share us. It's like a fan tribute, like non-commercial, and we wanted to use their music. And basically, as you saw, eventually, and we had it. So they were so generous. They were so hyped about our progress, and they were very supportive in every step. So it was it's great honor to not only work on something like a dream project for ourselves, but also get support of the real guys who was behind this project.
Yeah, exactly. I remember when it started publishing on like Instagram and everything, and I saw Matt Mercer reposting it. I literally went like that Wojak guy. I was like,
Yeah, like under his comment was
awesome.
like more than 1,500 likes. It was insane.
Exactly. Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect. Then let's start with the whole pipeline. We talked a little bit about the creation, how the mighty name High Adventure on High Seas was chosen. Let's talk a little bit about the characters. The team is commanding me to change the slide. So if there's something specific you want me to show before and after, of course, yeah, you are free to what do you call it? Ping me. So let's talk a little bit about the character designs. Uh, who in the team,
Yeah,
as I
let's
figured, we
invite our
have
character designers. I would like to pass the word
exactly
to Masha Panchenko, who is our layout lead
Oh,
and
well, thank
perfect.
you. Yeah,
one
that's
of the
me.
character designers.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, one
Well,
of, but not the only one. So I think everybody, if you saw the pipeline just now, you can already tell that it just begins with the visual development and then it goes into animation. So I was one of the people who was responsible for creating the look that we would use in the final product, I guess you could
yeah,
call it. But also
exactly.
Anna Yefremova, who you will hear a little bit from later. She also did a few renditions. This was a specifically interesting task, I would say, one of my favorites in visual development and layout work as well. But when creating characters, if you are starting from scratch, you can basically just do whatever. If you have only an idea for a character, it creates such an enormous, like, you have basically a free canvas, a white canvas, and you can do whatever you want, whatever you please. But the since this was already a very well established story and very well established characters, there's only so much you can do. So the specific interesting part about this job and task was that how do you experiment with an interesting silhouette while keeping it familiar enough for people to still recognize the beloved character that everybody has. Mm, on the top, you can see the final lineup that we chose, and then I guess that you saw them already in motion, which was also pretty cool to do. Can we go to the next slide? I think there's
Yeah,
more
for sure.
about character creation.
Here we go.
So yes, as you can see, we have a bunch of drawing from a lot of our visual development artists, and our visual development lead, Nordana. She was the one responsible to like for reeling us in when we went a little bit too far, for example, or maybe some ideas didn't specifically work. So gosh, what do I say? It was a very interesting and big task for us. Maybe somebody else can put in a few words.
Maybe you can say
Ah,
how many people was involved in a cart, I mean in the visual development in general, like in on the character design.
I would say four of us. It was probably me, Masha, our mentor Nordana, and Anna Efremova as
Yeah.
well. It was the
Yeah.
Four pillars of apocalypse. I don't know.
I want to say one important like thing in our course. After first months, we have kind of one like first milestone of our project. So we gather like a pitch deck. We kind of teach our students to present their story, their project, just to get more experience for their future lives when they probably will also create some projects and teach them for like producers, etc. So basically, this is our important moment, and majority of the visual development art should be already done by that moment. So everything what you see, it was made first month basically.
Makes sense. A lot of work to do in the first month.
Yeah.
It was
Me,
probably our
actually,
like biggest lineup so far because
I bet.
in comparison to all the short films, I think it was one of the first project, one of many, I guess. We were working without a character turnarounds, and that
Yeah.
was tough.
Another thing that I want to add, just like how to say my um, observation from experience, when you have a project like that and you have a lot of people who had like around 17 in animation team only, and it's very difficult in the beginning in the pre-production, because if you have so many people, you have to discuss ideas and every direction with everyone. It is so slow and very like time consuming and like a lot of energy consuming. So the best approach for that situations is to have one director who basically
Yeah.
decide what should be done and like who has the final word. Here in that project, we of course like had a lot. And above, we had like four teachers. I mean, Nordana, me as animation supervisor, and a creative director. In the future, it was also Yana Poroshna. It's our compositing mentor, and Slava, FX mentor. So with that kind of pipeline, we achieved to manage this huge team in a really good kind of how to say like pipeline, yeah,
Hierarchy.
process, and it,
Yeah,
everything was
exactly.
hierarchy, was everything very smooth, I guess.
Yeah. Well, if we're coming back to, puns about pirates and pirate theme, every ship needs a captain. So
Exactly.
I stood up to the
To
challenge.
hold the wheel.
Exactly. Perfect.
Whoa, wheel, it's called helm. That's why I'm the captain.
Sure thing.
The only one who knew the answer. And we do actually have a question for the people who were designing the characters. What were the most important aspects of making the character designs easy to animate? Who was the hardest character to work with in terms of the design? And let me quickly translate the question as well. Что было самым важным в сохранении дизайнов, чтобы их было легко анимировать, и какой из персонажей был самым сложным в этой как бы адаптации дизайна к анимации? So,
I think I can
whoever.
actually answer that question. I
For
kind
sure.
of peeped it by myself already in the chat. I wanted to answer it. Basically, also a specific thing that you have to keep in mind when creating characters or anything in visual development is what kind of project you are making this stuff for. So, for example, if it's a 3D and like big project, you can go crazy with the detail if the project allows it, obviously. But you know that if you overload a character with detail, it would more or less be okay because the 3D animators don't need to draw every single frame by hand. However, in 2D animation, that is not the case. So to answer the question, what is the most important aspect of making character design easy to animate? Don't overload them with too much detail. You obviously have to keep in mind the shape language, stuff like that, basic design principles. So they keep in mind the peel, obviously, as well. And one of the hardest character, as you can see, I think one of the most hard to design character was Yasha, because everybody has such a specific view of this beautiful, beautiful woman. In my mind, she's a big and buff, strong warrior. Some people envision her a little bit more elegant because that side of her is she's still quite elegant and soft spoken. And it's just, you can pull this character visually in so many interesting directions. So in the bottom right, you can see the two variants that are so totally different, but it's still the same character. So she was probably the hardest to animate because there were so many variations. One of the most interesting ones was definitely Avantika, though, because yet again, everybody has an interpretation of her, but she hasn't been officially shown.
Yeah, she's actually one of our original designs for this project. So it was also quite the task to approach it because she does have like a general description how she looks like. Is that she has to be like a pirate woman, that she's leading her entire fleet herself. She's evil, and she's also ginger, which is
She's evil and ginger, which is
she's
the
evil
entire
ginger.
description.
Evil ginger. She's also an elf. Yeah, basically we could go crazy, and sexy.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Another thing that I would love to add here, basically, I had already mentioned that this story is actually still in the future of the TV series because they still didn't show this arc. And basically, what we're doing here is it's a little bit like spoiler for people who doesn't know original story.
I would say it's more of like a teaser, a trailer. For people who are coming completely blind to Critical Role and everything, it doesn't tell, I think, too many details that could really spoil the viewing. Just entices them in. So, which I think is perfect.
But I saw people in the comment just spoil so much in the YouTube or so don't read the comments.
No, 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 no,
I'm
no.
sorry, guys. The campaign has been out for like 10 years, I think.
It's true.
Yeah,
It's
the
like people
campaign
complaining
is
about
10 years
spoilers on
old.
the Odyssey.
Yeah. Whoa, spoiler
Don't
alert.
spoil the Odyssey.
Perfect. Well, let me also ask, since we already talked about character designs, let me ask you about the layout. What was the most important thing to preserve when you were doing layouts? And also the challenge, I think, of the layout artist, of course, is to put those like character designs. Usually you have either like two angles, maybe like a couple of reference sheets for the expressions. How do you put those static kind of poses into dynamic actions with cool camera movements and wild expressions?
I need to answer this. I'm gonna tell you
course.
this. It doesn't matter how well you draw if you don't understand the rules of compositions, because you can be an
That is
amazing
fair.
artist, you can draw the line of action really well, but if you do not understand some basic composition rules in terms of the direction, you will struggle a lot, considering that mainly layout is there for not only the design, obviously, but you basically draw a map how the shot will look in the finale. A layout can be also a background. Layout can be a character, and you compose it so that you adjust it next to other shots. Like, does it work? Is this idea applicable here? Maybe this shot doesn't work, because sometimes you would see that, hey, this shot looks really well inside an animatic, inside this little teeny tiny drawing. But when you start to actually put them inside a perspective grid, put them inside their designs, because the designs also vary in height and model and everything. And when you draw an animatic, you don't really bother yourself too much with the model comparison and with everything else. And it turns out they don't actually bend that way, and you have to figure out how to bend them that way so that would look great and not awkward. But yeah, obviously, in terms of stylization and drawing, I think it would be best if Anna or Masha says about that. I was just talking about the direction point of view and yeah, composition.
If I can add my 2 cents, yeah, since we're talking about layouts, I can very confidently say that I am a better artist than I am an animator, but I'm learning, obviously. everything is a learning process. So one of the most hard things for me as a layout artist on this project was that I was basically responsible for more or less keeping the appeal of the character. And one of the hardest thing for me to do was to not ruin or change the animation and the movement that the animator before me put into the rough animation. On our specific pipeline, we did the layouts and the rough animation more or less parallel, or like one step after the other one. So an animator would already put in the rough animation, and then I would be responsible, along with other layout artists, to keep the motion but make them in put them into model. So that was kind of a challenging thing to do, I would say. Obviously you got to keep them like anatomically right and not break their arms or legs, as Ella has already mentioned. So that was a very interesting challenge that honestly was one of my favorite things to do on this project. I love making layouts.
I have a question. Do we have a layout in our presentation?
Yeah, we do.
I
We
think
can,
so, yeah.
we
In the
can
future.
Can we because I want to tell something about layouts as well. It would be nicer to show what does it mean layout, because not everyone knows about
Exactly.
that stage. I want to say that for me personally, layouts after a strong storyboard, it's the most important part in the animation process, because you can do amazing animation, use like 12 principles and have a nice movement, etc. But if your character is not as strong as it could be, with a not strong appeal, and design is a bit weak, your animation still will be like good, but not as appeal as and badass as it could be. For example, here you can see layout poses on the right side, and it's like a strong guide for animators that they have to keep keep character in a strong appeal with strong poses. Usually in professional productions, animators like mid or senior animators, they are doing layouts as well for their own projects. But sometimes, if it's like feature film production or it's several, I also know several TV series sometimes hire people only, especially for layout position, and it's a great help always for the production.
Yeah, exactly. Makes sense. Анна, хотелось бы что-нибудь добавить про экспириенс над лейаутами? Может быть, есть любимый какой-то особый опыт, который запомнился, или персонаж, которого очень сложно было вписать в некоторые позы и перспективы?
Спасибо за вопрос. Ну, на самом деле, мне кажется, что в целом довольно сложная была стилистика, и всех персонажей довольно сложно было рисовать. Я делала в основном по дизайну фичи-дизайн, и лейауты тоже на существ. Вот. И мой любимый, конечно, Укато, но в целом персонажи не из моих лейаутов. Мне нравится, пожалуй, вот Сбо, где шот, где она с призраком ходится.
I asked another layered artist we have on the team, Anna, about her personal experience in drawing the characters, if there were any easier or harder parts in developing them. And in general, it was a very hard style to immediately get comfortable with. So in a lot of places, there were some challenges in keeping characters consistent on model and working with the rest of the shot. I was mostly responsible for doing designs on the pitch, and I was doing a lot of layouts on the monsters the team was fighting. And I generally loved it very much. And I think my favorite shot, to like a collection of shots to do layouts on, was the fight with the ghost underwater, I think it was. Хочешь ли еще добавить что-нибудь?
Oh, no, thank you.
We're good. Perfect.
I do a little layout.
Well, still, you're part of the team. You still did it. So I'm very interested in knowing
Yeah.
as many opinions as we are because, as we said, short film creation is first and foremost a very much team effort, and everyone is putting 100% to the board. So hearing also and seeing the heroes who are responsible for it, I think is very important in the full degree. So since we've already talked a little bit about that, the rough animation and the the layouts were created in parallel, I want to interrogate our 2D animators a little bit more. So our resident animator today is Diana. Let's give her a round of applause because now I will be asking a bunch of questions. So let's start with when you were creating the rough animation. What did you try to keep in mind, especially when you're only starting out?
Ну, наверное, главное, что было, это не потерять задумку, которая была заложена в аниматике, потому что у Айлад было очень четкое видение, и надо было сохранить динамику, подачу. И когда я только начала работать, получается, на 4 классе уже с полноценным проектом, ведь до этого ты делаешь именно школьные анимации, которые ты сам придумал. Ты сам себе режиссер, ты сам ставишь кадры и все прочее, но здесь ты работаешь уже с заказом. Это буквально проба действительно настоящей работы, настоящего продакшена, когда ты должен передать не свою ведь задумку, а задумку человека, но так, чтобы она читалась. И
Мгм.
мне очень сильно помогла с этим команда. И Эдвард помогал мне с актингом, чтобы правильно передать движение. Но самое важное было это все-таки сохранить само движение, подачу и эмоции персонажей. Возможно, принести что-то свое, что я сделала.
Mhm. Well, for me, I think the most important thing in creating the rough animation was to keep the original intent from the animatic. Alad had a very specific vision that she was trying to implement through her visual language. And for me, the main kind of idea was to try keeping that integral part of it as close as possible to the original. Because before, when you're going through the first 3 courses, it's mainly you're doing like the whole thing. You're the director, you know what characters you're going to draw, you know where you'll place them, how to look, and you're basically the one responsible for the whole process. But here you come into an actual real production when there's a director and it has like a specific task for you that you're supposed to implement and polish it out to its final look. So it was, I think, the main challenge for me, and a lot of people were helping me. The team was a great help. Our mentor, Edward, was there to support and guide me. So I think for me, creating the rough animation, it was keeping that original movement and idea with the characters I've been given. Отлично. And of course, I wanted to ask because there's a lot of steps from rough animation to the way it looks on the final screen. What kind of, since initially you were trying to keep the movement of it together, how did those principles change when you started moving to something like tie down, clean? Were there other things that you actively had to keep in mind when you were continuing developing the shots?
Так, здесь надо немножечко перевести, немножечко потеряла
Без проблем.
сохранилась.
Вот в черновой анимации самое главное было сохранить вот эту главную идею, подачу, задумку. А когда уже переходит к следующим этапам, ну, то есть, потому что черновая анимация очень сильно отличается от финального продукта, то есть
Мгм.
всё down и clean. О чем еще приходилось думать и держать в голове, когда уже происходил вот полиш этих всех шотов?
Да, конечно. Получается, когда черновая анимация была залочена, к тому моменту еще не было окончательных дизайнов персонажей, и это, конечно, было проблемой. Ну, определенными сложностями на продакшене, потому что все должно было делаться очень быстро, работы было очень много, и не было времени ждать финальных дизайнов. Нужно было сделать здесь и сейчас хотя бы движение, залочить хотя бы его. Но это, конечно, послужило трудностью в прорисовке тайдауна, потому что это очень сильно отличалось от моих набросочных версий персонажей, как вы видите на экране. И здесь мне на помощь пришла Маша Панченко. Она нарисовала мне прекрасные лейауты, и я должна была им строго следовать. Конечно, прорисовка — это процесс долгий и несколько муторный для многих аниматоров. потому что здесь уже больше идет, как сказать, перфекционизм, попасть точно в дизайн, попасть точно в линию, и от этой прыгающей линии зависит твой нервный срыв, который уже так близок в этой работе. Поэтому это был самый муторный процесс соблюдения дизайна. Определенные сложности есть, когда у тебя, возможно, немножечко слабее навык, чем изначально у художника, который рисовал, или другая стилистика. Под это приходится подстраиваться, и это тоже часть процесса, но это очень сильно повышает твой уровень как в рисовании, так и в анимации, потому что ты учишься работать со сложным дизайном, и дизайны у нас были довольно сложные и красивые. Я не могу ними не восхититься еще раз. Они определенно послужили тому, что я стала рисовать лучше. Поэтому я выросла не только как аниматор, но и как художник на этом проекте.
Да, абсолютно согласна. Well, for me personally, when the rough animation was locked in place, we were still getting updates on our character designs. So that's why the layouts and the rough animation were working basically hand in hand. There was a lot of work and we had to do it very, very quickly. And we didn't have a lot of time to spread all of those steps out. So we had to collaborate a lot more and a lot closer. And that's why I found myself being more challenged with the tie down because, the characters, as you can see in the first version and in the later version, that the designs have changed quite a bit. And thankfully, I had Maria Panchenka helping me out, especially with the layouts. They were absolutely amazing. And I think the tie down and finishing all of the details is basically just perfectionism at play. You try to make it as perfect as possible, working out every detail, every line, that everything's working. And, with all of this pressure, you're kind of feeling that like a mental kind of breakdown is coming very, very close. But thankfully, you get to smooth sail in the end. And of course, the designs were very, very complicated. And for me personally, I sometimes think that sometimes when you come into animation, there is a chance that the person who's developing the characters has a little or much higher skill in drawing the characters. And sometimes you have an additional challenge of going into that same style or going into kind of the same. No, I said it best. Just trying to implement that style through your work. But at the same time, it gives you an extra challenge that really pushes your abilities to draw much higher than you ever did before. So by the end of the production, I feel I got a substantial upgrade in my drawing and animation skills. Let me change to another shot so we can look at something pretty. We are looking at something pretty. I did not mean it that way.
I would also very much like to add before we go to the fantastic and beautiful backgrounds that we have, that this is exactly what I meant by an artist and an animator on this project really did work hand in hand, and one would not be possible without the other. So we did actually work as just like a full crew. It really does feel like a crew on a ship because there were so many people working on everything. And a specific thing, we didn't choose the easiest of styles to animate. So I think the fact that everybody was working so much in tandem and together, it really did like save, I guess. And it's the only thing, us being together is the only thing I think that kept us afloat, pun intended, and our leads.
Wink, wink. Yeah, exactly. And it probably does feel like there's a storm raging outside, like just the waves made up deadlines and reworks. But it's amazing to see the final product as it is and how much
cannot
work was put into
exaggerate
it.
how much we're as a crew, because every single time we were in a business meeting, we were like, hey, okay, guys, everything clear? Instead of saying, yeah, we're clear, we were saying, ahoy.
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 Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. And I think before we continue on to the next animation, like next parts of the production, as talking with our effects artists and the development of the backgrounds, I wanted to ask a little bit more about the ship. Animating such huge things as like ships and giant like moving things had to be incredibly hard. And I wanted to ask a little bit more if we have the person who was more or less in charge of developing and putting that, basically, you had like a 3D model of the ship to track it. Also, an incredible amount of work. How did you come up to that? How was it? Was that the first idea to immediately create the 3D model and then track it over?
Yes, it was. And actually, we're
Perfect.
incredibly lucky that we had a perfect teammate for the job. We actually had our animator, Maya. Uh, she just said, "Oh, actually, I just have an exactly perfectly ready asset of a ship that just needs a little bit of changing, so we can just
Whoa.
ready to go." She was working on some other 3D project
Uh-huh.
because she's really talented. I didn't know that she is so well versed in 3D because when I saw this model that she made, we actually made it uh accurate to the canon because her ship, like her general model that she had in her library, was different from the one that we needed to make.
Yeah.
So we actually worked together with Maya and Anna to design a good design for the sails, for like the lore accurate sailing ship because there were actually two ships in this arc, but you guys could not see both of them, but we actually have two different decks present in the shot. One is Squall Eater, the ship belonging to Avantika, the evil ginger, because it has to be like a massive decked out ship with like cannons lined up ready with three masts. And this is like a smaller sailing ship mistake that our crew actually stole. And that's why it's called Mistake, because it was called The Mist. And they just wrote ache because it was a total accident, because they accidentally killed every single man on the ship and they had to run with it and they were really shocked. But anyways,
Hate when that happens.
incredible. Yeah, we were designing the mistake logo, we were designing the sails. So, and
Mhm.
she went like, she was also a really big Mighty Nine nerd. She like went, actually, there were only two masks. We should probably cut down on our budget. Like, are you sure? Because it's more work for you. And she said, "Don't worry, it's for the good cause." And she did it.
Oh,
And that's why the ship is very much lore accurate, and we're really proud of it. Another incredible story tied to the 3D, because we were like, oh, okay, but we do have like a 3D model. What do we do with it? Because we have a shot with the ship, and we do not know how to execute it.
yeah.
And our different animator, Vlad, he actually went, well, I actually don't know 3D, but anyways, I studied 3D in 2 days. Here's a play blast. I
No.
actually am ready to work. The guy did not know 3D at all, and he was like, okay, I'm gonna just ball on my enthusiasm alone. So he actually made this play blast. He sent it to me and like, hey, is this okay? I'm worried because I don't know 3D. Are you sure? Because
Incredible.
this looked incredible from the get-go because we just need to fix a little bit of timing and we just rotoscoped it. He did it actually and then cleaned it. That's
Wow.
actually insane. And then our effects animator, honestly, this is like the money shot
Exactly. And the
of this.
BG as well. Like
Yeah, no,
everything just
this is the money shot of this entire short. It's probably like the final shot with the Hydra, with the creature that almost like killed all of us in the process, and this one
yeah.
because the effects, the details, the character, the work went into it. The asset design is insane. Sorry for like a little bit of a rant, not little, but it's actually insane. I just needed to tell you.
Exactly. No, because it looks like a huge amount of work and it's just incredible to look at. It's like impressive. I remember I saw it the first time. I was just my jaw was like on the floor.
But even me, every time when people, I mean, teammates bring a new version or like background animation, FX, my jaw was on the floor all the time.
Exactly. Same. And actually, since we're about somewhere in the middle, I wanted to tell you that if you want to be a part of something as amazing like this, you should go into the description right now and check out our courses, because right now is the perfect time to grab that 10% discount. I already mentioned a couple of times, very, very nonchalantly, very demurely. And you can basically become a part of the team for the next short film creation, which is going to be for Hollow Knight, another amazing game some of you might have been familiar with. So you're free to check that out. And to see the work in progress, as Aylat mentioned, you can go to our Discord channel and find the pitch presentation for the film currently in production, which is Deltarune. So yeah, don't wait now. The spots are most definitely limited. So if you want to join now, this is the best time to do so. Now I actually wanted to jump to the effects artist. Today we have Konstantin as our effects guest. Please, everyone, give him a round of applause. And I wanted to show some of the beautiful effects shots, which I need a second to, just so I don't lose it. There we go, 12, 13, 14, 15. There we go. So we have some beautiful effects to look at while we talk about it. So, Konstantin, what was kind of the most memorable experience from working on the effects? Which I think type of the effects were easier and more enjoyable, or maybe harder, but still enjoyable, that you worked on?
Ой, очень трудно сказать, что именно было каким-то особенным, потому что уже сначала, когда мы только увидели первый синематик, мы уже подумали, что он особенный весь за счет того, что там безумное количество эффектов, завязанных и на магию, и на природу, так как это особенность вообще и D&D, и Critical Role в частности. И там очень много всего, и эффекты варьировались от самых банальных и простых, заканчивая какими-то колоссальными и по трудозатратам, и по общей структуре эффектам. Здесь уже был приведен эффект, например, волн, через которые корабль несется к цели. И это, наверное, был один из самых сложных эффектов. Я говорю один из, потому что там еще были два чудовищных по размерам взрыва. Один в лесу и второй уже в момент битвы с Гидрой, которые просто разлетались и сжирали практически все пространство. Ну и, конечно, стена огня Келеба, которую мы здесь видим, она тоже дала жару, так скажем. И если говорить, конечно, про любимые шоты, то как раз у всех, наверное, у всей нашей команды это были вот самые сложные. Потому что, например, если брать волны, это огромные массы, это геометрия, которую нужно было сначала простроить для того, чтобы волна шла так, как она идет, плюс еще поправка на камеру, которая чуть-чуть смещается, и все это нужно учитывать и отрисовывать в перспективе. Взрывы, которые меняют структуру, из огня становится дымом, который потом рассеивается. В общем, это все очень сложно, и это все безумно интересно. Ну и вторая такая прям мощнейшая особенность этого проекта, так как раз на экране, этот взрыв, который с несколькими детонациями, красота. И еще одна особенность проекта — это колоссальный объем работы еще и, конечно, у персонажных аниматоров. И в момент того, что нужно состыковывать это все, и персонажную анимацию, и эффекты в большинстве шотов. Поэтому у нас были постоянные проблемы с тем, что как это совместить, потому что здесь у нас черновая, потом там где-то что-то не сошлось, нужно что-то чуть подправить. Но это такой рабочий процесс, который, это всегда случается. Вот. И некоторые шоты даже из-за их комплексности пришлось даже упрощать немножко, потому что иначе это бы сожрало бесконечное количество времени.
Perfect. Давай тогда я переведу. It's hard for me to say what like was specifically, I think, kind of like my personal favorite. I think when we, or something specific that I remembered from production, because when we saw the initial cinematic, there was an insane amount of effects. And I think it's kind of the specialty of any TTRPG, including D&D and Critical Role, that there's everything from huge fire pillars to small little magic effects. We had stuff that started very simple and a lot of things that were absolutely colossal in terms of their size and structure. For example, there was the shot with the waves and the ship that you saw just a little bit before ago. And the waves are this mass of water, a lot of geometry. It was one of the most harder shots. We also had a lot of explosions that were very, very complicated. You know, we had to calculate where those big shapes would be, how they would look to keep that kind of appeal and realism of the water. And also the camera was shifting a little bit. So we had to take all of that into account and build all of these effects. For example, that wall of fire that was a couple of frames ago also was very, very complicated. And if we sing from, like, if we're talking about my favorite shots, I think everyone kind of had the same opinion that the favorite ones were the most like complicated and flashy ones. As I talked about the waves and all of that geometry and effort that went into it. And for example, another very complicated thing would be explosions, because initially it's fire and then there's a lot of debris and smoke coming out and you had to track all of it. And I think another kind of special thing for me in the production is the, as I said before, colossal amounts of work for character animators and for effects animators, and that we had to make everything work together. And sometimes we would have problems and setbacks, and the initial animation, rough animation, would look a little bit different from the tie-down animation, and we already start working on the effects. So we had to go back and rework some of the things to make them fit, you know, like puzzle pieces. So, but that's just, you know, a natural process when you're working with so many departments and you have such a rigorous pipeline. Some stuff you have to redo, and some stuff you had to simplify a lot, because I think if we made it to our full ambitions, we would still be working on it. Может быть, можно еще рассказать. Oh, maybe you can tell a little bit more. Forgot to turn the language. Tell more about how you would come developing a shot, for example. What would you initially start with? Is there something specific you try to, you know, hold in mind? And then how do you build on it and develop it?
Окей. Мои шоты были связаны в основном, ну, они были разные. Мне повезло, мне досталось несколько, но все они так или иначе связаны, наверное, с водой. Самый первый шот, который я делал, это волна, расходящаяся от корабля в тот момент, когда мы видим его сверху. И это как раз вот был такой пример воды, которую нужно было сделать очень живой и очень естественной. И плюс еще выбранная стилизация, да, она тоже довольно тяжелая, и на эффектах это тоже сказывается, потому что в них должно быть тоже очень, ну, чтобы они смотрелись подходящими по стилю, в них должно быть изрядное количество деталей. И вот волна, проходящая, ну, например, через которую проходит корабль, там должна была быть, опять же, волна океанская, потом должна быть волна, создаваемая кораблем. И плюс эта волна переворачивается и превращается в пену, и эта пена должна тоже смещаться с разной скоростью, то есть вдоль корабля она движется быстрее, если она от него отходит, она начинает двигаться медленнее, плюс поднимается и опускается на волне, и вот сделать, вот отрисовать это все было довольно тяжело, и надеюсь, в общем, у меня вышло. Вот. И в противовес ему были шоты, которые были довольно... И вот, кстати, на таких шотах уже получается там немножко интересный пайплайн анимации. Если часть эффектов, которые мы можем сделать, ну, которые довольно простые, ну, например, слэши от оружия, их можно рисовать просто в прямой фазовке и делать движение просто как построиться, условно говоря, ну, чуть-чуть корректируя форму. То есть здесь на сложных эффектах, на тех же волнах, там приходится делать несколько таких снапшотов дизайна для того, чтобы он от начала и до конца был цельным. И получается, у тебя есть несколько ключей, и ты уже, по сути, работаешь pose-to-pose такое. Хотя все равно потом вмешивается и та же самая прямая фазовка, которая тебе чуть меняет эту форму, потому что ты понимаешь, что дизайн хорош, но вода так не перетечет. И с огнем такая же, кстати, штука, потому что тоже огонь своеобразная очень субстанция, и ты не можешь в точности предугадать, как переведется одна форма в другую, и тебе приходится немножко экспериментировать в этом. Вот. Ну и еще один шот был, например, с Яшей, там как это, с дождем. Вот, собственно, я рисовал там капли дождя, и он должен был замедляться, потому что там время постепенно останавливается, практически до полной остановки. Этот шот не особо был сложен с точки зрения эффектов, но и здесь самое главное было выбрать оптимальное кадры начала и конца движения этих капель, чтобы они, не дай бог, не помешали персонажу. Вот. И, но можно было при этом сделать такую забавную вещь, как некоторые капли, которые, через которые персонаж проносится, они как бы врезаются в нее, растекаясь. Ну, такой фановый момент тоже на самом деле.
Perfect. Well, for me, my shots personally were connected. I had multiple, and a lot of them were connected to water. For example, the first shot I worked on, it was the wave from the ship when the ship was like crossing through the ocean waves. Is it the one we had in the presentation, or was it another angle?
No, that was another with the
Ah,
flying
okay.
fishes.
Okay, perfect. Just to be sure, so we could have it on screen if it was yours. Yeah, it was very complicated because it was this example of this like live, always like ever changing water. And of course, it was very hard because we already have a very high detail dense style for the animation. So the effects also had to be on par. So it looks like they're from the same universe. And, ocean water, it's especially turbulent and ever changing because there's so many forces that are influencing that water. For example, we have the water that's moving in the ocean, the wave that's created by the ship, and how that wave turns and it turns into ocean foam. And then ocean foam is moving away from the ship and it's become slower. So there was just a lot of things we always had to keep in mind, that there's also all the details were constantly changing between each other and compared to each other. So, and I was hoping that it came out good. And, and it really affects the pipeline depending on the effect you're working with. For example, a lot of effects that are simple, for example, something like a slash from weapons, you can do them straight ahead, and then you start building on them a little later by correcting the shape language and just doing that thing. But it's usually a very streamlined process. But on the very complicated ones, especially connected to water, we had to create multiple snapshots first, from the beginning and the end of the shot. So we have kind of the same feeling and the design of the water. And then we had to start the work a little bit from pose to pose, thinking all about those elements I've already mentioned before, that everything is working together and it's giving that sense of a huge body of water. And while you're working in pose to pose, you still have to go a little bit with some straight aheading and just rework some stuff, because even though you planned it on pose to pose, you realize the water wouldn't really move that way. So you have to make those like improvised changes. And it's the same thing for me, I've noticed with fire as well, because it's a very specific substance and it's very hard to predict how it's going to look in the final animation. So you have to experiment a little. That's just part of developing it. another shot I had that was very fun with Yasha and the rain. And I was drawing the raindrops. And the raindrops, at some point, they almost stopped moving because the time is moving in slow-mo. And it wasn't really hard, technically, like from a technical standpoint, but we had to make sure that the movement itself was optimal in the start and the end, especially in the moment when time slows down. So none of the raindrops are covering any kind of very specific character design elements, so we can read it very, very well. But I also had some fun with developing that shot because the character was moving at very high speeds. So I got to draw a couple of raindrops smashing like across the body and dispersing into like smaller little droplets. So that was very fun. Is there anything else you would like to add about developing the effects?
Добавить осталось только, наверное, то, что у нас была очень большая и очень клевая команда фиксеров. Я на самом деле сейчас, если попытаюсь вспомнить, мне кажется, я даже не пересчитаю, сколько там было народу, потому что нас было что-то прям непривычно много на этом проекте. В общем-то, это было прикольно поработать в такой команде фиксеров, где прям вот натурально целый отдел.
And I think the only thing I have left to add is that for me it was very interesting to work in such a big and talented team of artists and effects artists. I can't even, I think, recall like everyone who was there because it was a very big group. And for me, it was unusual. I'm not used to working with so many people at the same time, but for me, it was an amazing experience. And to see like such a like unified team working together on a project like this. Thank you
I
very
must
much.
add, it is actually the biggest project that we've had so far. Even the teams that we
that's
gather
true.
right now, they're not as massive. We just straight up gathered an entire production based on enthusiasm because Konstantin did say, yeah, it did felt like an entire department of VFX. Like you would usually see the same amount of people working on the project, on an indie project, just like so, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So since we talked a little bit about the environments and how to make everything work, especially in terms of the details and everything, I wanted to slide a little bit and talk about the backgrounds. The person who was responsible for the backgrounds is, I think, if I'm correct, Anna, as we already saw in some of the shots. So I wanted to ask a little bit more. Well, first of all, I had to say the backgrounds were absolutely breathtaking. Like some of them I just couldn't stop watching. When I saw the presentation for the first time, I just had to like take a double take. And there's a couple of questions I wanted to ask. First of all, how did you start working on the backgrounds? And how did you scale initial color script that's usually like very small into something that needed to be not even like in 4K. Sometimes the camera is moving all over and zooming in, so you had to work in like incredible sizes. Вот, поэтому я как раз упомянула, мы разговорились про то, что environment и все остальное окружение, оно должно совпадать с персонажами по уровню детализации, по всему, и мы поговорили про эффекты, а теперь, соответственно, хочу поговорить про бэкграунды. И мне вот очень интересно, хочется немножко расспросить нашего бэкграунд-артиста. Сейчас я найду какой-нибудь хороший шот, чтобы у нас был на фоне.
У нас их там много, у
Там
нас
есть
очень
очень
много.
много.
с
Каждый шот, мне
разработкой,
кажется.
ну,
Start
может,
with this one.
окей.
Ага. Или другой.
Normal. This shot was painted by Natalia Shishkova, genius artist, my friend. And, ну, в общем-то, прости, я на русском продолжу.
Конечно.
Фоны действительно замечательные у нас. У нас была действительно большая команда художников, потому что мы с Машей как бы вдвоем никогда бы в жизни не справились просто с таким объемом работы. Поэтому мы позвали ребят, и вот в титрах вы можете посмотреть, там целый список этих героев. И, естественно, фоны мы делали, основываясь на аниматике. Маша рисовала лейауты, и то есть художнику отдавалось лейаут от Маши, аниматик, картиночка, потом пояснение от нашего режиссера Аллат с тем, что она хотела бы видеть в этом фоне, и color script. Color script был нарисован примерно, у нас было много версий color script, и фоновикам я давала, то есть первую версию. И дальше уже этот фон уходил в работу художника. Можешь перевести?
So, yeah, the backgrounds are indeed absolutely incredible. We had a huge team because we would never manage to complete all of them alone. And we called some of our friends and people who we knew who were interested in joining and helping us. And you can see the whole list of all of the people who were involved in the description. But basically, the first kind of mentions of the backgrounds obviously were in the animatic. And then Masha, who was responsible for the layouts, she would create the layout for the background, and then we would basically give it to the background artist. And then during the work, we would always show it to our director, Aylat, and she would give some corrections or stuff that she wanted to see in it. And of course, we had color scripts, and they were, well, this is also very good. I'll show it later. We have a color script. We had multiple versions of them, but basically we gave the layout, the color scripts to the artists, and then all of those materials the artists would work on, and they would deliver and show their progress so we can guide them to the right direction.
У нас также был Влад, монтажер, и он каждую неделю делал склейки, и в какие-то моменты мы начинали уже подставлять фоны под нынешнюю анимацию и смотреть, как что сочетается, и уже как бы подгонять одно к другому. Вот. Прямо таких лейаутов на фоны мы не делали, кроме сцены с кораблем. Ее нарисовал у нас был совершенно талантливый художник Якуб Бжижиновский. И на сцену с кораблем, открывающую начальную, там были лейауты, потому что там действие происходит в одном месте, в одно время, а остальные фоны у нас как бы шла нарезка из разных частей, поэтому художники уже в более свободном плавании находились относительно... То есть они могли сами придумать, что они хотят там нарисовать, основываясь на пожеланиях там, от Аллат и там, тоже.
And we had a person, his name was Vlad. He was responsible for editing all of the shots together, including the background. So we're able to see them in succession, one after the other, and see if they're working together as separate shots. Should we change something about them? So we also had that another feedback loop that basically guided us through the work. The most kind of strict layouts we had throughout all of the work was on the ships. We had an amazing artist. His name is Jakob. He was an artist and he was working primarily with the ship, and we had very rigid layouts there because it was a very enclosed space. It was pretty small, and there was a lot of shots from different angles of the ship, so we wanted them to work together. But the rest of the layouts and the rest of the backgrounds, they were much more kind of allowing artists to be more a little bit improvising and freeform, because we had a lot of materials that are connected to the specific background, but we did not have like strict instructions compared to the ship. So the artists were kind of encouraged to play around, see if there's something that works specifically in that shot, of course, guided by all of the feedback we were receiving, both from the editing and watching it all in succession, and of course from our mentors and from the director, Aylat.
But let's not forget.
Yes, I would.
But yet again,
Ну, по фонам
Anna Ефремова
у
was
меня
the
есть
background
там
lead.
любимые фоны.
Yes,
Sorry?
this one.
Yes.
I would
Yes.
also very much like to add, even though Anna is a very humble person and she wants to give credit to every single other person that worked on the backgrounds, she herself, I think, is one of the most goated artists that I ever had the pleasure to work with. She has absolutely beautiful and stunning backgrounds that I think one of our teammates actually put as their background. And one of the funniest stories that I remember from this from the making of this project was when we were making the backgrounds. Anna was responsible for drawing them, and she would give them to Nordana to like check the little details and everything like that. And in one specific shot, Nordana was like, maybe I need to check the perspective or something, so I can see that everything is correct. And Anna was like, well, I don't really do that stuff. And then she checked and everything was perfect. It was so like, it was correct. It was
Wow.
wonderful. It just shows the level of skill of the people working on this project. And specifically, I genuinely don't think that this project would have been as beautiful if Anna and a lot of the other people were on this project. But since we're talking about Anna, I just wish she gave herself the credit.
Exactly.
Because
No,
this
all of the
background belongs
credit.
to her. This background,
Exactly.
I cannot stress
Yeah,
enough how
on the
great this background is.
floor. And you can tell the artist has got it because they're so humble and they're like, wow, there's so many people working on it. It's a team effort. Because
Exactly.
obviously people who put a lot of effort, they recognize that a lot of people putting a lot of effort as well. Just another sign. Because team, like the films are always the bigger, like a bigger sum of its parts. And you can tell when there's so many incredible, talented people working on it. Just see the final result of it. And it's amazing. Хочется ли что-то еще добавить про работу над фонами? Может быть, какие-то интересные тоже любимые фоны или все
Ой,
что угодно?
Там очень много, кстати, было фонов крутых нарисовано. Вот этот вот декорат потрясающий Наташи, Насти Постовой фон со взрывом, он был особенно сложен тем, что там есть фон с деревьями, и мы рисовали свет специально отдельно для композеров, чтобы они его потом проявляли, и там очень красивый получился шот. Ой, мой любимый еще у Насти Куракиной, она нарисовала шот с таверной, и там есть вот эта вот рыба, и потом многие ребята отметили, в комментариях написали, что «О, это же та самая рыба!» В общем, от фанатов это была фан-отсылка, и ее увидели, и это было очень приятно, мы прям были супер рады. Вот. Он был крутой панорама у Антона, там, где битва с ведьмой, там супер длинный фон, и я тоже считаю, что очень красивый. Виктория Никитская нарисовала красивый фон, там, где персонажи идут вот к пещере, красивый закат. В общем, я не знаю, мне кажется, что наши художники просто сделали лучшую работу, которую могли бы вообще сделать, и очень их люблю. Все, переводи.
Может, у тебя есть какой-нибудь любимый фон, который ты нарисовала?
Кусочек тогда переведу, как раз можно
Да,
подумать.
подумай.
And I asked if there are any specific shots that they really like doing. And the first one Anna mentioned, it was, I think, this one, if I'm correct. It was the shot with the explosions. Well, first of all, because there's like a lot of elements we had to make work in terms of composition, but also there was a very interesting moment that explosions, they leave a lot of light as well. So what we did is we painted another layer specifically with the light, and we gave all of that to the compositing team so they can like gradually show these like lit parts of the background so it works well together. Another shot with a big panoramic view that was done with Anton. They had a fight with the witch. Let me see if we had this one specifically so we can see it.
We do.
We do? It was number 18, right? Or another one?
The
A few slides after this, there should be the big panoramic view.
Slide number 24.
Thank you so much. Because there's so many of them. I just get lost. Yeah, and there's another one with the huge panoramic shot with the witch and also how much that had to be accounted for, the camera angles and the views, and another shot with the tavern. And we actually had a very fun story connected to it. I think it's slide
No, it's
16.
not that much fun, to be honest.
Not fun, but it had like a very specific fish in the tavern in the background. And we included it as like a little Easter egg because the fans it was a big thing for them. And when the short film came out, basically we got a lot of comments from the fans saying, "Oh, that's the fish."
Actually,
Which,
it's not
yeah.
the fish. It's actually a very niche reference, not even to Critical Role specifically. It is actually, actually, this is a reference to a very specific D&D module that came out in 2020 that's called Rime the Frost Maiden. And this specific fish was in a tavern in one of the towns, and there was an illustration. It's actually a really fun fish. So only the true fans of D&D actually got it.
Perfect. A good way, like a litmus test to see if you're a poser or not.
No, it's an autism test. I'm sorry.
It's for the D&Ders and the one who knows.
Well, if let me finish the thought. And of course, all of our artists did an incredible job working on it, and it wouldn't be possible without them. And we had another question again for Anna, if there's a shot that she specifically really liked to work in, and we did not get an answer yet. Есть ли специфичный какой-то ваш личный шот, который понравился? Большой, который...
Который я рисовала. Ну, Скукото, мой любимый, я сразу, когда увидела, подумала, что хочу его рисовать. И мне нравится в целом шот с облаками. Мы его уже видели в презентации с кораблем.
Да, открой 26 слайд.
26. Boom. Ага.
О, это тоже красивый, да. Ну, ой, мне все нравится.
And
Тут еще такая анимация.
Yeah, I had multiple very shots that I really love to draw. There were a couple that I immediately got drawn to that I wanted to include. There was another shot with the skies and the clouds in the beginning of the short film when they're still on the ship and had a bunch of clouds. It was really enjoyable. And the as I'm guessing, if I'm guessing right, feel free to correct me, this shot with the ship as well and the clouds. So
yeah.
Perfect.
Fun fact about this shot. This is the first shot that I actually came up with in terms of storyboarding. I'm like, man, I love Yasha so much. I love this woman so much. This is a great character. How do I showcase her? Because Yasha is actually absent in this arc for the most time, and I'm like, okay, we have to do her justice, and this was the first shot that I storyboarded and eventually animated it, so
perfect. I think I had some connection issues, but I think I'm back. There we go. Thank you again for sharing with me on the backgrounds and on the development. And now, since I'm so good at segues today, since we talked about lighting that shot with the explosions, it would have never been possible without the beautiful work of our compositing team. And I actually wanted to introduce all of the chat. Please give a very warm round of applause to Mila Zolotaryova, our compositing artist who's presenting the compositing team today. Round of applause. I wanted to ask a little bit more about your process and how basically you were developing the shots. So I think primarily for me, what I wanted to ask first, what steps do you go through when you're working on a shot? Первый мой, наверное, вопрос будет про то, какие шаги, то есть как вы планируете работу, когда вы работаете с каким-то определенным шотом. Что идет первым, что вторым, что нужно помнить?
Ну, когда на нас назначают шот, мы в первую очередь знакомимся с референсами, с колор, скриптом, чтобы понять, что в итоге хотят получить. В целом общаемся с Айлат, чтобы она нам объяснила, донесла, какую атмосферу мы хотим создать. Вот, затем мы переходим к уже сборке самого шота. На этом проекте невероятно много камер было. Были и статичные кадры, но я думаю, почти каждый, кто участвовал в композе, попробовал на себе поставить камеры и все остальное. После того, как мы уже выставляем камеры, мы создаем римлайты, цвет, отбиваем персонажей, собственно, создаем эффекты, дополняем уже имеющиеся, то есть FX мы где-то чуть-чуть подразмываем, чуть-чуть добавляем glow, чтобы оно ярче было. Отлеты, все это наше. Вот. И самое сложное, это, наверное, все-таки подстроиться под color script, попасть в него, чтобы весь фильм смотрелся цельно и едино.
Well, I think for me, first and foremost, we try to get acquainted with the references as much as possible so we would be familiar. Also, we try to talk with Aylat about the atmosphere of the projects and, of course, how all of these shots are going to look in succession with each other. And of course, there were an incredible amount of cameras throughout the whole project. Some have been more static, some are obviously much more dynamic. And everyone, I think, got to try some challenging shots for themselves and work on it. So first, we try to set up the camera, how it's going to look. After that, we try to think about the lighting. And for example, like the room light, let me go back to the shot with explosion because I think it shows the work of the compositing very, very well. We create the room light and all of the effects. For them, we also do some correction work. Some of them, for example, are out of the field of view, so there would be a little bit blurred. Some of them we try to make a little bit more saturated, so they would look more contrasting to the rest of the environment they are situated in. And of course, for us, one of the harder parts of the pipeline is to work with the color script. First of all, so we comply with the original ideas that were set in the color script in the paintings. And also, so all of the shots, again, in succession with each other in the whole montage would look as part of the same work. So a lot of color editing and color grading goes into that, obviously.
Можешь включить слайд 20? Там видно, кстати, как color script интерпретировался в композе.
Thank you so much. Here's another shot that shows like a great work with the compositing and lighting. I appreciate it. Есть ли любимые шоты, например? Над каким эффектом больше всего нравилось работать? Или, может быть, какое-то положение дня, ночи?
Ну, как-то у меня так не совпало. Мой самый любимый шот — это шот Оли Яновой, шот, где Форд проваливается под воду, ныряет, и шот со спины. Для меня он самый атмосферный, самый вообще крутой. Из моих это, конечно же, шоты с гидой. Тут как бы ничто другое.
Это идем.
Вот, да. Собственно, можем перелистнуть. 27-й, если я не ошибаюсь, это слайд. Да. Да, кстати, прям сразу на мой кусочек. На самом деле здесь невероятная работа проделана. Работало несколько человек. Еще есть 28-й. Нет, следующий шот после этих тоже с гидой. Над ним работала Юлия Соколова, а передо мной работал Сережа Дубин. Моя задача была такая, что мне нужно было совместить первый шот и конечный, чтобы они по цвету, как бы мои шоты совпали, чтобы мы все поженили, все было замечательно. И мне здесь очень понравилось, что у меня сразу получилось поставить камеру. Для меня это вообще, как бы, я такое удовольствие испытала, когда поняла, что все получилось почти с первого раза. Вот. Особенно в первой части, когда идет проезд под гидрой. Да. Что еще здесь? Очень насыщенные шоты, и здесь очень много слоев было у гидры, и когда нужно было выставлять камеры и все это проверять, чтобы слои не налетали друг на друга. Это было очень кропотливое занятие, но в конечном итоге я испытала невероятное удовольствие от конечного результата, что все получилось, и мы успели, и все шоты между собой выглядят замечательно.
Well, I asked about if there are any favorite shots that they worked on, and in general, their experience with, some of the shots they've been able to put a hand into. And the answer was that my favorite shot, my favorite environment, I think I didn't get to work on it, but I do personally like the shot where Ford, if I'm correct with the name, he goes underwater and there's a shot from the back as he's sinking deeper. And for me, it was just an amazing shot. I really love how it looks. For me personally, I found it the most fascinating and the most kind of atmospheric. I did personally work on the shots with the Hydra, the ones you see right now. There are multiple shots interspersed with each other, and I got to work with the first and the last shot of that sequence, respectively. And we had multiple people working on parts of it as well. So my personal kind of task was to make sure that the first and last shots are working together, that they have the same color grading, and that every detail works with each other. And all of the shots in the middle, we basically had to, as you can see, marry them in terms of their color and structure, so they all look as one part of this very high action sequence. And yeah, I really enjoyed. I felt I felt a lot of satisfaction that I managed to set the camera from the get-go, almost like first try. It rarely happens for the work to be so smooth, but I'll take credit for that. It worked out very well. And the shots are very, very saturated with colors and actions, and the Hydra has so many layers you had to work through, and you had to make sure that all of the layers of the Hydra and the characters in the kind of the compositor, they had to be very precisely put onto each other, that nothing would slide anywhere. And of course, it took a lot of dedication and took a lot of fine tuning and attention to make it work. But overall, I kind of rate this experience as amazing. For me, it's always incredibly gratifying and satisfying to see that final work finally flourish in front of your eyes. So, of course.
May I just glaze Mila
Of
a bit?
course,
Because
of
honestly, Mila actually came in clutch with this shot compositing, because it's one of the hardest, no, it is the hardest shot that we've made so far. We're going to talk a bit about the shot later on, but to stay in topic about compositing, she literally brought like the part where character slides down the ground, and we almost like immediately greenlit it first try because it was perfect. She composited this a specific fragment where a character casts a spell and Ford slides down the ground. She made the dynamic movement of the ground like
Ooh.
I don't know how she did it, but like, she basically made that so this feeling of sliding floor, sliding character on the ground really worked. And we were really struggling to understand how the effect of the blood from the stomach and the effect from casting the mushrooms will work. And we were worried that no, we probably need to get rid of the blood, or maybe we should do less mushrooms because it's gonna be too much. And then Mila just brings the compositing and like, hey, I made it so that it works because the mushrooms are still there, the blood is also still there, so the guts are really gross and nasty. So it's really, really amazing what she did with this. It's amazing. And then afterwards, she worked on like the master shot with the Hydra where Yasha is flying and slicing through the air. But may I just say how incredible it is that she did it first try. No sweat, yeah?
Absolutely. Да. Одни аплодисменты. Yeah, exactly. Compositing is an incredible craft, and it genuinely sometimes could like make or break an animation, especially with ambitious shots like this. And it takes just as much as dedication as any other part, I think, of the film creation process. Что огромные аплодисменты. And we actually have a question for the representative of the compositing team. Well, we kind of answered it, but if you'd like to elaborate a little bit more specifically, from Lena Ray. How do compositors work with the rest of the pipeline to create a lightning comp language that fits the animation? И у нас есть вопрос из чата от Лины Рэй для нашей команды композитинга. Как композеры работают с остальным, как бы остальной частью пайплайна, чтобы создать свет, такую композицию, которая подходит всему остальному стилю анимации. Я знаю, что мы немножко про это поговорили, но, может быть, есть какие-то еще интересные примеры, которые удастся вспомнить.
Ну, на самом деле здесь очень много локаций и очень много, ну, как меняется время суток и какого-то универсального света, который бы подошел всем, такое, увы, не получилось сделать, да, то есть у нас, допустим, на персонажах, да, был усредненный римлайт, который мы все равно по цвету подстраивали под конкретный шот, вот, а в целом освещение, допустим, и свет, и тень, в какие-то моменты становилось ясно, что силами композа этот вопрос не решить, и ребята оперативно подключались и где-то дорисовывали самостоятельно даже имлайты, например, на гиды во второй части, когда уже подлетаем, это было ручками нарисовано. Это такой момент, что каждому шоту здесь подходили индивидуально.
Well, there were a lot of locations and a lot of different times of day and night. So we didn't have like a universal, I would say, lightning guide to creating it in the shot. We tried to make sure that we had some rim lights and we, of course, tried to work with every specific shots from the start to give it a more unique feel. Of course, sometimes it's not possible to just create the lighting and everything in compositing. And in a lot of places, we had to come to the animator team and ask them to give us a couple of additional lightning layers so we could work with it. For example, in the end of the shot where there's a big head of the Hydra and there's some light on the side of the head and the rim light in the back, that was everything created from scratch with the drawings. The animators came back and basically gave us an extra layer to work with. So we tried to have an individual approach to each and every shot we were working with. Есть ли еще что-нибудь, что хотелось бы добавить под процесс? Или можем только завалить аплодисментами?
Я хотела сказать спасибо нашему руководителю Яне Туровой, Порошевой. Под ее чутким контролем мы со всем этим справились. И сказать большое спасибо тому, что Айлат выжила с этой гидой. Потому что, фан-факт, Айлат делала, получается, модель вживую самой этой гиды, чтобы понять, как ее санимировать.
Мы ее глянем.
Да, это, ну, я когда узнала об этом и увидела даже фотографии этого процесса, я прям, вау, мое почтение.
I think the only thing I wanted to add to this is I wanted to say thank you to our mentor, Yana, who was working with us during all of the compositing phase. She was very, very receptive and very thoughtful when she was guiding us, and we managed to make all of this work, of course, with her guidance. And of course, that Ayla managed to survive working on the Hydra. And we will get to this in a couple of seconds, but I think this is like the perfect intro to this part. That Ayla made a model of the Hydra head. And when I saw the photos, and you will see them in just a little bit, I was absolutely flabbergasted. It was incredible. And actually, I was just about to ask, because a Hydra of that size, colossal, it's incredibly complex character.
Wait a minute. I want to add about compositing, actually.
Of course, sure.
Remember how we talked about our incredible background artist, Anna? Yeah. Well, she didn't actually left after she did the backgrounds, because not only was she doing a lot of background leading, but since she was the one to create the color script for every single shot, if you look at slide 20, actually, I just want to quickly add before we, I know the Hydra is delicious, but let me just rant real quick. This incredible color script was made by Anna, and she was working and developing it as the process of compositing went. So we actually work in a very interesting way as in combination with a background artist, basically. So our compositing artist will send a screenshot, and Anna will look at it and do an overpaint because color script is not very precise. So you have to really like look in depth how it can be executed throughout the After Effects like building process. So she would look at it, how the compositing did it to their best capability, and then adjusted it over the first checkup for the compositor. And then the compositor took that screenshot and developed it more. And it was like a, like a game of cards, they were building like a card house. So it was actually incredibly valuable that she did that. So we actually, I would say we probably had like two compositing leads. Like Yana was the one who really supported the technical part, and Anna was the one to support the visual part heavily. So it was a huge, huge shout out.
Yeah, absolutely.
The
Now
Hydra.
we can talk about the Hydra. Can I show the picture?
Oh,
of the
hell yeah, you
Hydra?
can.
Let's go.
Before, I would also like to say about this thing has been very detrimental and just such an asset, because I think I just want to showcase really quickly that this was insane in the fact that a lot of people on this project have learned absolutely new skills or touched up on the skills that
I
they have
bet.
previously just like forgotten, because I made this thing and I drew layouts with it, because I would be dead drawing this Hydra layouts without the head. And I will let them talk about the animators talk about the creation of the Hydra.
Yeah, of course,
In
because it's a very
short-
complicated design. It's
In
like
short,
just,
I wanted to kill myself.
but we're here. We're managed.
Okay, manners,
We're
manners.
safe.
There was nothing polite to say about the process of development this thing, because usually, okay, since we came here to study, let me tell you, because usually on the production like this, they would have a bigger budget and a 3D team to support them. Yeah, we do not have that part. The ship needs hyperdrive. We don't have that part. Anyways, we managed to do it somehow. So usually what they do in TV shows, when they have a creature design this complicated, they would 3D model it and adjust the texture and asset so it would look in sync with the style of the show. And obviously, since we're just a student like size project, we could not afford to really do that because we would have to implement the 3D animation inside it, and it's a lot of experimenting because we just invented the pipeline as we go, so we had to do something about it. So we had to animate the Hydra frame by frame, unfortunately, but to make the design look complicated enough so it would not look like I don't know, like a kids show drawing, and not to discredit the kids show drawings, but they would usually like have a simplified style. But
Yeah,
since
you were
we
going for a
already,
different thing.
yeah, we settled for the complicated backgrounds. We settled for the epic story. We're already settled for the sexy characters. How do we match this design that it could be practical, not too hard to animate, and obviously like match the art style? So I had to come up with a design that fit that frame, obviously. It was a task because we've been procrastinating quite a while. So I'm not a 3D modeler artist, but what I did have is experience in art school, and I just said, screw it. I'd rather just remember how to do clay sculpture than to remember how Blender works. Honestly, I know how to work in Blender, but Jesus Christ, when I saw that design, I'm like, okay, no, I'd rather just take the clay and just do it. And I was also really, really sick when making this, and I could not even hold my pencil and sit at my
Oh
desk.
no.
So I was in my bed with a giant piece of clay and a sculpting knife, just carving this creature on my lap. And I'm like,
Do I need to remind you who was responsible for making the design this complicated?
We
Who
did not
set
have
that
it.
system up?
And who set that system
Who
up?
set
Yeah.
that system up? Exactly.
I actually have a quote from Edward. He was saying swear words when he said, "Oh, the animator is." Anyways, and it was really hard. I can go on and on and on about it because I have so much emotion about it because I was the one to take the biggest L. Unfortunately, as much as I wanted to do a lot of character animation, I knew that, oh my God, I already doomed a person who is gonna do this. I cannot do this. I'm way too kind of a person to doom a person to animate this. So I just said, okay, screw it. I'm gonna do it.
Give it a shot. Yeah.
We can move on to the next slide or to the process because
Yeah.
not only I actually my main okay, no, the slide
Oh, not the
before
other one.
Hydra. Yeah, this is
Or,
the reuse. Okay, so this part. Not only I worked on Hydra, but a lot of animators worked on character animation here. Like Diana here, this is her shot partially. Like the character animation belongs to her. I was the one to do layouts for this character, not. And right below you can see color script by Anna as well. And incredible work from the effects artist. This is like the one that Konstantin mentioned before, like one of the hardest effects in the entire shot, like a giant explosions as well. Incredible work. So many people like worked on this. But my hands, well, all hands on deck went here in terms of my input, in terms of controlling all of the layouts and stuff. But yeah, maybe Diana wants to say something about animating characters before we continue about the rest of the pipeline.
Ну, не знаю, но в целом анимация здесь была специфична, она сильно отличалась от моего первого выданного шота, то есть у меня был шот номер 3, где я анимировала Джестер на корабле, на этом очень сложном корабле, очень маленькую Джестер. Это была очень легкая анимация, с которой я справилась буквально за пару дней. Был шот с штурвалом, и это был невероятно сложный шот для меня. И когда в процессе отрисовки как раз-таки тайдауна, когда я умирала, мне сказали, что я могу нарисовать экшн-шот, я была невероятно счастлива, что я могу переключиться. Это буквально 2 секунды, но они были такие потрясающие в моей жизни, потому что эти 20 с лишним кадров заставили меня вновь поверить в то, что я хорошо умею анимировать, что у меня все получается, что я умею работать, и что это выглядит так клево. Иногда нужно переключаться, и это хорошо, когда в работе достаточное количество шотов, и у тебя есть возможность это сделать, потому что когда ты монотонно делаешь одну и ту же работу, тебе легко выгореть. А я старалась браться буквально за все. Если надо было что-то покрасить, я готова была что-то покрасить, я готова была что-то полайнить. Главное, чтобы не устать, потому что этот проект очень сильно сплотил нас. То есть мы все общаемся, и команда стала довольно дружная. Многие из нас до сих пор поддерживают связь. И это не просто работа, это действительно стало каким-то а-ля семейным сборищем. Это было очень приятно.
Большая итальянская семья.
For me personally, I think this animation was very, very specific. It was very different from the other shots I did. I did shot number 3 with Jester, where she's on the ship and she was pretty small, so it was pretty easy to do. And then when I started to work on the shot with the hail and the turning of it, while I was putting it into tie down, I think I kind of started losing all steam I had from the start. I was working on it all the time and it became so repetitive. And when I got the news that I can work on a shot that's like action packed, I was very, very grateful and happy that I got to switch my focus for a little bit, because these a little bit more than 20 frames really make me believe in myself that I'm actually a good animator. I'm doing well. I actually have the drawing skills, and the things that I do, they look awesome. So I think for me also sometimes you just have to change your focus a little bit if you have the chance and the opportunity. And because when you work on the same thing over and over, it could be very repetitive and it could become tiresome extremely quickly, and you could lose kind of the sight of the bigger picture. So after that, I try to pick up everything I could get. Basically, if there's some line work I can help doing, I would do that. Coloring, shading, I would just, as long as I weren't like doing repetitive things for too long, I didn't lose my steam and I wasn't getting tired. And I think through the whole process, the project basically brought us together very, very closely. And our team became very, very tight knit. And we still talk, we're still friends, and we still kind of keep in touch. And for me, it wasn't, just a job. At some point, it even feel like a big family. And as Alat said, like a big Italian family. A family business, as some people in the chat say. Yeah, incredible. Very sweet. If there's anything to add on the Hydra, I think this is the
Yeah,
perfect moment.
back to that. This is not over because this shot, I honestly, okay, I'm gonna come down. I'm an adult. Anyways, there were people obviously who helped me throughout the development and animating the shot, but since the shot was so complicated, there was practically very little to no rough animation to it because like I was basically drawing like in like a blind man trying to rediscover like trying to like touch and figure out how to make it work, I guess. No offense to blind people, I'm also really blind. Anyways, I straight up started cleaning this Hydra without like certain tie down or anything. I just took the clean brush and just started like doing layouts, how it would function and act. But since the shot is so long, I did give some parts to like tie down and finish to my other colleagues as well. So big shout out to them and welcome. The stomach, I was actually not the one to animate the stomach. I believe it was Angelina, my other colleague. She did really cool guts. Honestly, I really wanted to do guts, but the heads were a much more complicated task, so I had to give that away as well. Um, uh, but yeah, a lot of VFX work went into it as well. Like we can move on to the slide after the sculpture as well.
Yeah, for sure.
But I believe there is no more work on. No, yeah, this one.
This
No,
one?
no, the master shot, the master shot. Sorry,
Master
sorry,
shot.
sorry. I forgot that there is memes, not the master shot. Yeah, I'm gonna get to memes. It's incredible, actually.
Yeah, no. I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions, of course.
I was lucky enough to do character animation on this shot as well. Actually, Yasha in the end was also my work as well. But I believe if I had to count animators, like character animators on this shot, that would be probably like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 people, around 6 or 7 people working on character animation. On effects animation, there were like 1, 2, 3, 4, around 5 or 6 people working on VFX.
Yeah.
The one who did coloring for all of the Hydra was actually Diana. She was the one to color every single animation. I think most of the coloring for the characters was also done by her. The other part of the coloring and line art work was also done by the same person who did the ship. No, I remember. Let's remember all of our heroes by name because that's so insane. And we had I believe 3 or 4 compositing artists also compiling this shot.
Yeah.
And obviously the backgrounds, incredible. Anna Efremova with, I believe, Anastasia. I don't remember which Anastasia, correct me if I'm wrong. We had a lot of Anastasias who drew backgrounds. Yeah, 2 Anastasias. One of them also did like incredible, like it's crazy work. And obviously the best coping mechanism is memes. So we can move on to one of the last slides that we have. Because the more
Okay.
trauma you get, the more memes you create. And this project had incredible amount of memes, and most of them.
Listen, to be honest, I think the fact that we were such this was a combination of such a group of such wonderful and funny people. The meme factory started from the very beginning, I would say. But they
Nice.
did speed up when the process was bad.
Yeah, no, but as you can see, it's mainly the final shot. Oh, may I mention the first designs for the Hydra that Masha made?
Hmm.
Would you
Very
like-
cute
Hey,
one,
listen,
I have to say.
I will never be not proud of these designs. Is to see the two extremes, the -A and the +Z of everything that you can do. And let's be honest, these designs are not forgettable. And the fact that they were not forgettable, nobody forgot about them, and they are now forever immortal.
Even here, recording now for forever.
Though I'm glad that we went with a more like conventionally beautiful design, I would say, because these genuinely look like shrimp.
I have fantasy. Some of them look like goblin sharks as well, which kudos to trying all the designs out. Very, very cool. Game
Yeah.
recognizes game.
Let's move on to the next
Oh,
slide.
that was
Perfect. There we
Oh
go.
yeah. Our favorite
Amazing.
magnum opus meme. Yeah. Basically, it translates to, guys, just imagine how great your portfolio is gonna be. And honestly, it was worth it. Our portfolios are fine and dandy and really happy, but God forbid it was really hard. 9 months of development. 9 months is like a baby. Like imagine
Yeah.
you
Whole
work on
time.
something for so long and you receive almost zero output, and you like in the echo chamber, only your team and you just try to concentrate, try to not give up, never give up, never. Anyways,
Never back
We
down.
really
never
are
what?
just a giant.
Never what?
We are just a giant Italian family with a collective baby.
Cute.
all right. And to wrap things up, some more memes.
Some
Next
more memes.
slide.
And while we're looking at the memes, you can also tell a little bit more about them. I will make all the rest of the team think a little bit. What was the most important lesson you learned during production and you're going to take with you to the next project? Obviously, you're going to have an amazing shot in your reel, which is obviously going to be there as factual evidence that you went through this, but what will you kind of keep in mind on the next projects you'll do? И пока мы немножко поговорим про оставшиеся мемы, хочу спросить, какой важный урок вы для себя усвоили в процессе обучения? Понятно, что с собой вы унесете фактически такое подтверждение в виде очень красивых шотов в ваш доморил, но какой-то, может быть, такой урок, который в процессе вы получили, работы над этим фильмом, который вы унесете с собой в будущую работу, на будущие проекты. Yeah, sure. Giving the mic to you to explain some of the more some more memes we see right now on the screen. Ой, I did not do that.
Мне есть что ответить, на самом деле, на тот вопрос, который ты только что задала, но, наверное, чуть позже. Honestly, the meme factory was from the very beginning, but I will just briefly translate the ones that you see in front of you on the screen. The left one is, be careful with the links that you find on the internet. It might be a group call. It might be the word group call. The middle one is obviously, as we've mentioned before, some of the people who started working on this project, they didn't exactly know what Mighty Nine or Critical Role or even D&D was. And it was just the sheer power of passion that some people portray. I let our director specifically, that got a lot of people into the project, and now they know.
Mm-hmm.
The right one is, bro, you're gonna die while coloring this, and some people did. And a bunch of other memes about coloring, because finding the proper colors for the characters as a visual development artist is also pretty a pretty hard task to do. If you take the next slide, if you show it,
Yeah.
you will see the gem of our creation.
Cute.
I am quite proud of this Ford. Yet again. Not all of the work, obviously, that you do in a project will come into the final showcase. So some of them will be misses, but I think every single piece that it is important that you show everything that you work on during the project. If we can like take a more serious tone, I think that yet again, two of the lessons that I will be taking away from this project is that you really have to be very comfortable with showing your work and every work in progress, and doing so consistently, working consistently and showing your work, so that everybody can see the progress and give you some feedback. That's a very important lesson. It can feel uncomfortable, but it is essential to a project. And the second one, I think I just want to say a big thank you for all of the leads, because the second and I think even more important lesson to take away from this project is that no work and no big project will be completed without some pillars and some people that will basically show you the way and correct you when you're doing like too much, too little, whatever else. If there is no lead, basically, the project will probably fall apart. So all of the visual development lead, Nordana, the animation lead, Edward, the compositing lead, Yana, the VFX lead, Slava, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically every single person who has worked and helped us stay on track with this project.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
The work would not be
Kudos.
possible without you as well.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the
Anyone
others
else?
want to answer the
Yeah.
question, what they took away from this project. I would love to hear from every single one of my teammates. I love you guys so much.
Да, я, наверное, тоже могла бы ответить. В целом, полностью подписываюсь под словами Маши. Действительно, без преподавателей не было бы всего того, что у нас в итоге вышло, без их поддержки. Вот. Но также, мне кажется, именно помимо коллектива, в который ты должен попасть, если тебе посчастливится, ты должен и сам быть ответственным человеком. И самое важное, что я усвоила на этом проекте, это общение. И у нас было много проблем только из-за того, что некоторые люди могли быть неответственными, не отвечать на что-то. Это единственные проблемы, которые стопорили процесс. Поэтому, если ты выбираешь для себя именно путь работы, ты обязательно должен быть исполнительным и обязательно должен отчитываться о проделанной работе. Коммуникация должна быть, всегда.
For me, I would also respond with I completely 100% agree with the statement that without our mentors, we wouldn't be able to have what we have right now through their guidance. And I think kind of the community and the team you are with doing the short film are also dependent on the fact that you have to be uplifting that team as well by being responsible, by being communicative. And I think for me, one of the bigger lessons is to be able to communicate properly. We had moments where people would not respond to our messages or would have some miscommunication, and it of course would make the process slower, and it had to, what do you call it, basically sometimes brought it to a halt, and we had to get it going again. So you have to be very responsible, and you have to be very open to communication and being able to deliver on what you promise. Of course, communication is very important. Thank you. Кто-то еще? Может, хочет поделиться? Would someone else also would like to join? Yeah, Анна?
Мне кажется, что я многому научилась у нашего ментора Нурданы, и у Эдварда, и Альнат, и Маши. В общем, на самом деле, каждый из людей в проекте дал мне какой-то новый взгляд на то, что я делаю. И, наверное, самое главное, я как бы обрела новых друзей, я думаю. Это для меня особенно ценно.
For me personally, I think I've learned a lot from our mentors, from Nurdana, from Edward, and Ailat, of course. And I think a lot of the people, I think everyone gave me a new perspective on my art and what I love to do. And I think kind of the biggest thing is that I got so many new friends. Perfect.
Костя,
Отлично.
Мила, вы не отвертитесь. Вы тоже должны ответить.
Я могу ответить только про себя. Я не знаю, будет ли это рекомендацией
Так про
какой-то,
себя, да.
который подойдет всем, но этот проект, он, короче, произвел несколько таких мыслей в последовательности. Не надо бояться, просто садись и делай. И ты сделаешь все. Если ты даже не сделаешь настолько хорошо, насколько ты хочешь, ты сделаешь достаточно хорошо, чтобы все сказали, что это хорошо. Глаза боятся, короче, руки делают. Главное сесть и делать.
I think for me, my personal lesson, I can only speak for myself. I don't know how applicable it's going to be for the people who are listening. But this project, first and foremost, gave me kind of a lesson is there's no need to be afraid. Just sit down and start doing the work. Even if you don't do the job as good as you wanted it to be, you can still do a job good enough that everyone is still very impressed and satisfied with what you brought. As long as you sit down and actually start working, you'll get somewhere, and that's the most important part. And in Russian, we have a saying that the eyes are scared, but the hands are still doing the work. So just keep going. That lady said, keep striving, keep pushing. So thank you. Mila?
Ну, я в целом просто не знаю, что еще добавить. В целом, я подытожу, общение — это двигатель процесса, поэтому это самое важное, да, это уточнять, не закидывать тысячи вопросов каждую секунду, а прям, ну, собраться, подумать и разобрать конкретную проблему. Это очень ускорит процесс работы. Ну и не забывать периодически спать, это очень важно, потому что когда вы поспите, вы все-таки сами увидите свои косяки. Поэтому, как композер, это я прям подтверждаю. Вот в целом, еще раз спасибо, Айлат, моему руководителю. Всем спасибо за работу.
I would probably finish the round of kind of advice is that communication is the engine of progress. It's very important that you always specify and really understand what the other person is looking from your work. Don't ask 1,000 questions at the same time. Think about it a little bit, try to analyze it, try to kind of put it into little pieces, like assemble and disassemble it basically, and then continue on with the feedback. And sometimes it's good to work on something and then just go to bed and rest. Usually, when you wake up fresh with a new head, you'll see all of the stuff you were missing while being very tired working on it late at night. As a compositor, I can completely attest to that. So thank you to my mentor, Yana. Thank you a lot. And thank you everyone for an opportunity to work on this. Did everyone got to share? No. Ella, did you share?
No.
No.
Bro, no. Can I
You
see
Like someone was
cheeky. No, you
missing.
cannot.
Bro,
You cannot get out of this.
I mean, I don't know. I mean,
You as the
okay.
director have to have an insight.
I didn't learn anything. Okay, no, that's not true. That's not true. Okay.
Love a self-aware queen. We will say.
Okay,
I learned
no.
nothing. I was right all along.
No. Okay. It's more so that there is a thing that you know that when you work long enough on projects, like it doesn't matter if you're a lead on something or if you're just like the regular worker on an indie project or like a bigger production. There is just a thing you know about yourself after some time working, right? You know your strengths and you know your weaknesses. And
Mhm.
what I've learned, not learned, I got shoved into my weakness over and over again throughout this project. And
Yeah.
honestly, it was just a test of skill to how far and how fast I can learn. And in my
Yeah.
case, it was that I'm greedy as hell. I'm greedy as hell. I love to take so much work and then don't finish it. But in this case, I have to not only be responsible for myself, but also for an entire team of this amazing, talented people in production. Not only in front of like the management team, because you also like produce stuff and you're responsible for every single deadline being met, not only yours, but also others. So it was like a really, really like straight through hellfire because
Yeah.
before I was just responsible for my own stuff, and now like, you know what? Here's 80 plus people you're responsible for and for their deadlines. Good luck and ciao. We're not going to explain anything. So you have to learn everything on the fly. So it was not even like a test of skill, but a test of my ego and my patience, how patient I can be towards myself, not only towards people. I'm really
Yeah.
patient towards people. I'm way more harsh and strict towards myself. So I would rather forgive a person than forgive myself. So forgive
Of
yourself for
course.
mistakes. Throw away the perfectionism to like double down towards what Konstantin said, because you would love to do everything. You would love to do everything perfect, but
Yeah.
it's just the reality of the situation. You have to face it that you are so young and you're gonna have to work on so many productions in the future that are gonna be as
Yeah.
cool as the and cooler as this one. So you just have to trust yourself and take it one step at a time. So
Exactly.
uh find that balance between work and passion and you will be absolutely unstoppable because discipline is the key to achieving anything because I've seen so many
Yeah.
talented and insane people. They're so skilled, they can draw literally anything. And the people that are a little bit less skilled, but their discipline is rock heavy, and they would succeed a lot more faster and climb the career ladder a lot more successful than to the ones that are less responsible and do not know their weaknesses. So for
Absolutely.
me, for me is that. So overall, just thank you for people in my team, for my mentors to be that have made this experience for me possible. For me, that made this communication so smooth. Because if I were to have some other people on this project, who knows what would have happened? So just because it was you guys, all of you, love you all.
Oh, that's so
This
cute.
project was as amazing as it was, and the rest of the team that is not present as well. Shout out to them. Big, huge thanks to them.
The other
This pro
100 people.
the
Exactly.
other 100 people and the other people that supported us online when the short film came out, and obviously to the Critical Role team. Honestly, this project is so like mind changing to me. So yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Again, a rant. I'm done.
Nah, we're good. But I think this is a very good time to kind of start closing in. I think we've been here for a while. Oh, kind of like 1 hour more than I predicted we'll be going.
We've been
But the
here for two
process
and a
was
half
so
hours, yeah.
interesting
Hmm.
to talk about. It was like fascinating. I just couldn't stop listening. And I would have probably listened for like 4 more hours. But, we got to keep ourselves in check. We got to rest at some point. So let's start kind of rolling to a close. I wanted to say thank you to all of the people who joined us here today, all of the VizDev artists, layout artists, of course, director, animators, compositors, effects artists, everyone has been an like integral part of this film being what it is. And I'm very grateful that I got to see you all here today. And I'm betting the chat is also incredibly, incredibly happy to get to listen to so many insights. I love that we have on the screen right now. I'm not going to change it. Thank you, of course, to Edward. Unfortunately, he had to leave for the next thing he had to do, but I'm still very appreciative that he came and decided to share some of his personal insights. Thank you to Vitali to making the stream run smooth as butter. It's still an incredible help.
Oh yeah, by the way, Vitali was also
Making it
the
work.
compositor, so he not only a cool streamer, but
Also,
also a cool compositing artist.
perfect. Exactly. And thank you, Vitali, for that as well. And of course, to you, all of the people who were watching, commenting, asking very nice questions, and giving very sweet compliments. I really appreciate all of you watching this. And hopefully, this was as interesting and as, like, what do you call it? Mind blowing as it was for me today. And of course, I want to remind you all as well that you can join us on YouTube, on Discord, and of course on the courses. Animation Club School is always there to guide you on every step of your animation journey, especially in the start of it, whether on working in such classes as foundations, body mechanics, and acting, depending on your level, to, of course, making these full-fledged animated short films that are basically the real production, and you'll bring an amazing shot for your future reel, and of course making the process of your future industry work a lot easier to jumpstart with. If you want this level of improvement and quality in your work, you can always join us in the Animation Club School, and be sure to snatch that 10% off on the first month while we still have it, because as I said, spots are limited, so why wait till they're gone if you can do it right now in the description? So I think that's it. We can finally say bye-bye and have some rest. Hopefully we'll get to see you in classes very, very soon. Bye-bye.
Hello everyone, my name is Edward Kurczewski, and I want to invite you to our new course, Short Film Creation. This course is divided by 4 directions: animation, visual development, 2D FX animation, and compositing. This is a unique opportunity to get experience in teamwork and also try a real studio process in a short amount of time. At the first month, you will come up with your idea, create a storyboard, and also with the help of visual development team, you will create a unique design to your world and story. At the second month, you will work on your individual shots, dividing the work among yourself. At the third month, 2D FX artist will complement your shots with suitable visual effects. At the end of the project, a group of compositors will start to assemble your project and add cinematic feel to the picture. You can join one of these courses right now. Detailed information of the course in the description. See you there.
The adventure begins. They were always beside you, your nerdy best friends, and the DM to guide you. And they rise from the flames for the battles ahead. Villains beware, 'cause you're about to be dead.